I'm a resource. I'm that person sort of outside of college athletics that if something's not going right, and we want them all to have an amazing student experience, but sometimes something doesn't go right. It just happens. That I could be that resource to help them navigate that.
That is the system and the process itself, to strength and conditioning, to nutrition, to athletic training. There's so many dynamics that come into this. And so I think for the most part, we've done a good job of buying in and believing, but it is a lot of new people on one page in a really short time.
Welcome into the Inside WSU Athletics podcast. Excited to have everyone joining us for another episode. Joined as always by the Director of Athletics here at WSU, Ann McCoy. And we not only get to chat with Ann this week, got a couple of great guests. Nancy Swanger, who's the faculty athletics representative here at WSU, going to join us. And Jimmy Rogers, head football coach, of course, for the Cougs. And Ann, as we dive into this week's episode, I know you are just freshly back from the Pac-12 meetings. What can you tell us? How were they?
Oh, I am. Hey, Chris. Literally just got back in the wee hours of the morning from Pac-12 meetings, and great couple days. We had the presidents and the athletic directors together, for some time together, time by themselves, and just really, it's so exciting. Like the energy, the positivity, the enthusiasm, and really, I think to, behold what is just an exciting, top 5 conference when we launch officially the new Pac-12 July 1. Everyone was there, was talking about, updates on all of the media, updates on scheduling, really starting to work on, some of the nuts and bolts of championships and, how are things going to look going forward. But the energy and the enthusiasm, the positivity of everybody really, embracing the excitement of all that can be, it was really energizing. Honestly, it was really terrific. So always a good time to be together. The Pac-12 folks are just amazing. To have all the members there and just continue to work. We'll meet again in December, I think, in person, but we continue to talk virtually about every week, I think, to just be ready to go. I mean, it's amazing how quickly it's going to come now.
This seems like such a unique opportunity for everyone involved that not only years from now, decades from now, people will look back on this as an opportunity to have your fingerprints on the direction of the conference moving forward. How is that? I know you mentioned energy, but just being in that room where, people can really put their fingerprints on things, it's going to be something that's around for a long time to come.
Yeah, it really is an unprecedented opportunity. It's been, several decades since a new conference really at the Division I level was formed, but also you have a chance to take 100-year plus brand that is so well known, so well respected, but also combine it in a way with the what do we want it to look like kind of startup brand, and kind of looking at the modern day student athlete. And instead of trying to be a, big conference, trying to, turn like a barge to adapt to everything with the student athletes and what's necessary these days, we really can just put that into the mix right from the start. And so I think it'll be, a really unprecedented opportunity to take advantage of and to pivot, to be honest, and create something that's keeping up with the changes of college athletics versus, starting from afresh in a way other than trying to, redo everything that was already in place. So it really is an interesting opportunity, honestly, nothing that I've ever seen, certainly in my professional lifetime. And, I think when, originally people could look at it as, with everything that happened, but now with all of the changes in a positive way, we're like, wow, what a great opportunity that we're so fortunate to have, honestly.
Well, no lack of things going on at the conference level, but here at WSU, the calendar is turning towards October, which means we're roughly kind of a month into fall sports being in full swing. Not necessarily everyone, they start a little earlier, but full swing, it's been right around a month. How do you look back on this, roughly this last month?
Yeah, it's been really terrific. Our teams are doing well, have so much momentum. I mean, this last week was just incredible with everything that, with football, with volleyball, soccer, men's and women's cross country. I mean, the golfs. I mean, we have tennis. Everybody almost is starting, to almost crossover as basketball gets up and running, swimming. And now I'm going to miss. I hate when I start listing, but it's been terrific. Really exciting things. We've been doing game surveys for fans after every home football game and kind of, assessing where things are at with some of the changes and some things that, are hits, some things that need to be tweaked. But overall, people excited and noticing a lot of the positive improvements and really, being patient with us, but also excited with us. And so I'd say competitively, really just from all aspects, I feel like things are on a really good place and moving forward well.
Well, we'll touch a little bit on some of those highlights recently. We'll start with football. Really impressive win in Fort Collins, 20-3. You have to go back a long way since the last time the team went on the road and did not allow a touchdown. 20-3 victory that sends the football team into the bye week. And of course, we'll have Jimmy Rogers joining us here coming up. Cross country, a couple of great shout outs there. Rosemary Longisa won the 6K with the course record, fastest NCAA Division I time this year. Solomon Kipchoge won the 8K with a course record. That's the personal best for him. Volleyball off to a 2-0 start in conference play. They've got a couple of matches coming up at Seattle U against Gonzaga. That Gonzaga game going to be October 4th. And then soccer, a couple of games last week went over Seattle U, a loss to Santa Clara. Up next, they'll be on the road against San Diego. So it's that time of year, Ann, where we start going through everything that's going on. And it's so much fun because there's just action every day, it almost feels
There
like.
really is. I mean, and I believe that Solomon and Rosemary were National Athletes of the Week, which I believe Rosemary is our first ever female cross-country athlete to get that award, or that honor. So it's exciting. It's exciting to see. And I actually am going to head on the road with volleyball for that Seattle U match. So I'm excited to support them on the road. And it's exciting. It's good. A good fall so far on the Palouse.
Well, that would be a fantastic trip for you to make. And I know there'll be some Cougs there in Seattle cheering on the volleyball team. Also, some new announcements about some cool new things going on. Let's get started with the My Paws, My Cause campaign. What can you tell Coug fans about that?
Yeah, it's, again, so exciting and a lot of firsts. I believe Butch is the first collegiate mascot to ever participate in the My Hands, My Cause effort, which is basically really, museum quality photos or prints that are of a lot of celebrities and figures that, people would be interested in having, but then the proceeds of that go to the cause that they identify. So we're thankful Butch has identified the Cougar Athletic Fund as the cause for his print, but I saw a picture of it the other day and it is just amazing, like so fun. And so really a different, neat way, not only for Cougars, everywhere to kind of show their love for Butch and WSU, but also to raise some funds for our student athletes. So really excited with all of the efforts there. And I think October 24th, I believe the night before the Toledo game, we actually, DJ Trunks is going to be doing a concert. And prior to that concert, we're going to have a chance to introduce our men's and women's basketball teams. And so that's going to be kind of fun, different, good energy and exciting. And so hope everyone can come to that and then support the teams, as they compete that weekend. But just kind of a variety of different things going on. And I think, DJ Trunks, I can't shout out enough for him. He's been a great, addition back to our football games. And when our marketing folks, Miranda and others, talked to him about doing a concert, which he has, I think, opened up for Sting and other people and has done this, we thought, what a neat opportunity to kind of bring together a different, night before a home football game event for everyone and combine that with men's and women's basketball intros to kind of, get a good energy. So we're excited for a lot of things going on. So.
Well, that is certainly neat news there, and love how these football weekends. There's never a bad football weekend, but there's just so much it feels like this year to do when it comes to the entire weekend when you make your way to Pullman for a home game. And then with that, another recent announcement, Ann, WSU Athletics and an Open Doors partnership. That kind of overview of that news there. Can you fill us in?
Yeah, I mean, I think the partnership with Open Doors will be a great resource to help bolster and support our NIL efforts for our student athletes. You know, we really look at, I think a lot of people think of NIL as, paying players. And I think there are just so many other aspects to it relative to, students, and student athletes helping, build their brand as people and as potential business people and entrepreneurs and things, even once they leave Washington State University. And so I think it's a great professional development resource to really help bolster those NIL efforts for our student athletes. So we're really excited about that. They're amazing. They've done great things in the space, and we're excited to partner with them for sure.
Well, that's awesome. We've got two really fun conversations coming up. Let's dive right into it right now. All right. Well, we are excited to welcome in our first guest on this week's episode. Ann, can you tell us who we have stopping by?
Yeah, good morning, Chris. Thank you. We have Nancy Swanger, Dr. Nancy Swanger with us this morning. And Nancy is, I'm just going to say it, she's kind of a legend around here. So I'm really excited for her to be here. But Nancy, you've been on the Palouse a long time. Maybe just tell us a little bit about you first, whatever you want to share.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Chris and Ann, for having me today. I was honored to be asked. I have been on the Palouse a long time, almost 50 years. My husband and I came down to the University of Idaho in 1977 to go to college and never left at the University of Idaho. And the Palouse is, as you both know, an awesome place. And it was a perfect place for us to open businesses and raise up 4 kids. And now we have kids and grandkids and a lovely life that's been on the Palouse again for almost 50 years. So.
Well,
And I
Nancy,
should have said at the beginning, and Chris, I'm so sorry. Nancy is our faculty athletic rep, and that was my bad. I was supposed to say that right at the beginning, and I didn't. So now I will be quiet and let you go.
well, no, and that's what we're going to talk about is this important role that you have. Nancy, how would you describe the role that is the faculty athletics rep?
Well, first of all, it is a position that about 10 years ago, I didn't even know was a thing, didn't even know it existed. Actually, turns out it is actually an NCAA required position on every college campus. And it is a faculty member that is the liaison sort of between your academic world and your athletic world. And for that portion of my job, I actually report directly to the president. So I have a day job, just finished my 25th year on the faculty in the hospitality school here at WSU. And so the faculty athletic rep is just 25% of what I do here. And I do report to the president for that piece.
Well, let's zoom out a little bit because you have plenty on your plate in the role as the faculty athletics rep, but you mentioned your other job as well. Can you give us an idea of all that encompasses your role when it comes to everything else besides being the faculty athletics rep?
Well, when I say this, it's going to sound like I can't keep a job because I've kind of got a few things all going at the same time. Again, I've been on the faculty in the hospitality school since the fall of 2000. I was the director of the hospitality school for about 10 and a half years. While I was doing that, I was approached by some senior living operators in the Puget Sound area about starting a program around that as it's a natural extension of hospitality. So I'm now the founding director of the Granger Cobb Institute for Senior Living on our campus. I've also been an associate dean a time or two in the Carson College of Business. So I have a lot of balls in the air, it seems like sometimes, but I try not to let any of them drop.
So Nancy, as you mentioned, you do have a lot going on, and I'm just going to look at it as a big to-do list. You just keep checking off and doing all kinds of great things to make everything better. But what have been some of your highlights during your time, specifically in your faculty athletics rep role?
So first of all, maybe let me back up just a step on that one. As I mentioned to start with, I didn't even know this was a thing. I didn't know it was a thing. And while I was actually still in the director of the hospitality school role, right before Christmas one year, in the WSU announcement, here comes this announcement that they're looking for this position. It's open. President Schultz had put out this opening, and I read it. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is me. I am a huge supporter of athletics in general. I have never been an athlete. You can't see me much from the shoulders up, but for those of you who don't know me, like I couldn't clear a piece of paper. I have no eye-hand coordination, but I absolutely love sports and athletics, and I've always been a follower. And I especially understand the role of athletics on a college campus, especially a residential college campus. And so when that position came out about this position being open, when I first read through it, I thought, oh, this is cool. And then I hit delete because I thought, oh my Lord, I don't have 5 more minutes to add one more thing to my plate. And so I hit delete. And I came back when I checked the email, or I checked my email a lot, but then after Christmas break, it reappears again, which told me maybe they didn't have any applicants. And I thought, well, that ups my chances. And I thought maybe it was meant to be. So I did go ahead and apply, and here I am. And so I think the biggest, a few of the highlights for me have been, trying to work with and promote to faculty and work with student athletes and folks across campus about this role and about the role. When I say this role, I mean not my role, but the role of college athletics on a college campus. It matters. As faculty, as much as we'd like to think people are, and there are some rare exceptions, but that our best lab on campus is what's drawing everyone here. It's not. Most 16, 17, 18-year-old kids are making decisions about college unless their parents are really pushing them one way or the other based on who they see on TV, who's playing football on Saturday. Game day was a huge, boon for us. Those things matter. And so I kind of wanted to be a part of that. So that has been huge. Getting to know various student athletes, getting to know the athletic staff bigger, better, more of them. We've gone, I've been doing this since 2017, so there have been some changes. But I'm not going to lie, there's been some lows too. There's been some real lows. We've sadly had some deaths. We have had an implosion of the Pac-12. We have had some things that haven't always been great, but I've always felt that my role has allowed me to be sort of on the right side of navigating things back to where we know they can be on this campus and helping keep the ship going the right direction.
So, Nancy, I was thinking too, one important role for you also, as you mentioned, is the liaison with the faculty, but really a checks and balance for integrity, for rules and regulations, for travel, for missed class time. There's so many things that go into it. You also, are very much a part of the Pac-12, governance structure, will be going forward as things kind of readjust. So with all of the changes in college athletics, when you meet with student athletes or when you meet with faculty and people say, well, does anybody even care about going to school anymore with all the NIL and everything going on? Not only what do you see, but also what do you share with student athletes or faculty or alums or donors?
Well, one of the things, so I try to meet with all of the teams at their start of the year meetings when compliance and all the folks come in and talk about all the stuff that it means about being a college athlete. And so I introduce myself at that time, and I tell the student athletes there are kind of 3 big buckets of things that I pay attention to, and one of them is academic integrity. I work very closely with Heather Irwin and her staff we check in every other week or so and talk about good things and celebrations. I also am that person that, gets the reports if somebody's been caught cheating. I certify, we go through this with the registrar's office, a big list of this algorithmic spreadsheet that says, look, student athletes are making progress toward degree. They're where they need to be. They have the right GPA. They have the right number of credits. I go through all of those reports every term and certify them. We celebrate a lot. We've had in the last several years some team high GPAs and some really awesome academic achievements. And then, like I said, there's always the other side of that academic piece that we also need to address too. So I have academic integrity. I also have compliance. I work very closely with Brad Corbin and his staff. We want to make sure that at WSU we're doing things the way we're supposed to be doing things. And I have to tell you, those rules are changing by the minute. In the last few years, I always joke with Brad Corbin, dear Lord, keep taking your vitamins because nobody wants your job. That keeping all of that straight and the rules and the regulations and what counts and what doesn't count and what matters and what doesn't, he just does a bang up job of making sure that WSU's headed the right direction. And if we goof up on something, we report it right away. We don't try to hide anything. And integrity in the compliance area matters as well. And then the third bucket that I tell the student athletes is just general student athlete well-being. I'm a resource. I'm that person sort of outside of college athletics that if something's not going right, and we want them all to have an amazing student experience, but sometimes something doesn't go right. It just happens. That I could be that resource to help them navigate that. Maybe you don't want to talk to a teammate. Maybe you don't want to talk to a coach. Maybe your problems are the teammate and the coach. You certainly, where do you go? And so I try to provide that. So I try to make myself available, and I attend their competitions when I can. And I travel just this last weekend. I was blessed to be able to travel with the football team to Colorado State. And let me tell you what, it's way fun to come home when you win on that airplane. And so I just try to sort of get to know them a little bit, but truly be a resource, whether it be personally or professionally. I also know a lot of people. I'm connected to a lot of people in various industries. And if I can help somebody connect to get a work experience or an internship or a study abroad, whatever it might be, I always tell them, hey, maybe I'm your gal to help you do that. So those are kind of the three big areas that I work to make myself available and heard or seen.
Well, Nancy, we appreciate the time. Thanks for all that you do for WSU Athletics, WSU as a whole. And I know we'll be talking again down the road. So thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you. And as always, go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
All right, well, here we go. For the first time on the Inside WSU Athletics podcast, we get to welcome in head football coach here for the Cougs, Jimmy Rogers. And Ann, there's never a bad time to talk to Coach Rogers, but here we are. It's the bye week as we speak here right now. I know Coach is very, very busy, so we appreciate his time here today. But the Cougs fresh off that 20-3 victory going on the road, beating Colorado State 3-2 on the year. And Ann, we've got Coach Rogers here, obviously, for any athletic department, any big time program. It's an incredibly important relationship between the athletic director and the football coach. With that, can you talk about Coach Rogers and kind of get us going here that we have him here today and joining us?
Yeah. So I'll try not to embarrass you too much, Coach, but I think, it is an important relationship. Certainly the football program is, an imperative piece of our athletic department. And we need Coach Rogers and his staff to be able to have the tools to be successful and to do what we can to help support that. And so I tend to not be a micromanager, real hands-on, like Jimmy and I know when to find each other, when we need to visit, and otherwise, try not to get in the way, quite frankly, and just be there and try to support how we can, all of the hard efforts and the process that, when you have a new head coach, you have a lot of new student athletes, you have a new coaching staff. The best thing I feel like I can do in my role is to help support them, and, be an ear to bend when they need it, but also to help get the resources they need. And so I've thoroughly enjoyed working with Jimmy. In a lot of cases, I feel like we've known each other longer than we have, but it's been great. And so I appreciate the role and the relationship very much. But enough about that. Going back, we're going to go back in time, Jimmy, for a while. What type of kid were you growing up? Tell us about you, and how did that shape you into who you are today?
Yeah, I would probably say is very similar to what I am now. I come across really serious. I grew up in a really competitive household. I had two older brothers, so you competed at everything. You had to be tough. I was blessed to have unbelievable parents that loved me. I never needed anything. Not that we had everything. They worked extremely hard, so I got to see that firsthand on as far as what working hard and having a great work ethic looks like from my father, who was a police officer for my entire existing life until up recently. He just retired. So I got to see him, and he was always around. He was always present. My mom was a teacher, so education was important. And so, yeah, I think a lot of those things as far as the discipline, the work ethic, that's kind of I learned that at an early age, and try to mimic my brother's success in athletics. And so when you have two older brothers like that push you and you want to be them, it kind of those things and those traits come a little bit maybe more natural for me.
One of the things I appreciate, and I laugh when I think about it, I'm picturing like just, younger Jimmy, less facial hair, but exactly how you are now as a little kid. But one of the things I really appreciate about you is you are who you are. Like whether you are, it's the 10 minutes before a game, whether it's, a bye week or whatever, your level of, just kind of genuineness and kind of knowing who you are and how you're wired, kind of your North Star, I think is really unusual and really a great quality. So growing up like that, you decided to play linebacker at South Dakota State, right? So what type of player were you? Are you similar to how you are as a coach or as a little kid, or what were you like as a linebacker?
For one, I was an average athlete. Probably wouldn't recruit myself. But overall, I was committed.
You would have liked your work ethic. You would have recruited.
Yeah, honestly, that's kind of how I survived my whole life. I would care more about how I was remembered as a teammate. I worked really hard. I tried to make people around me better. I didn't settle ever. There wasn't ever complacency in my game. I was an average athlete. I just tried hard to be in the right spot and be coachable. And at times, probably even that, I could, looking back on it, I had great coaches. I had unbelievable coaches. It's really what made me want to get into this and try to impact people as much as they impacted me and molded my future. So that's kind of why I do it. I love to take players from the initial start of when we get them and hear out what is important to them and then push them to accomplish their dreams. Because I think if you're doing it for any other reason but that, you're not doing it the right way, and you'll get caught up in all the emotions of what happens as far as results in games. It is about the players. It's about their future. It's about trying to take them to the next level. And along the way, we all, as competitors, somewhat get lost in all of it because you want to just win. But the ability to make an impact is, I think there's a responsibility in coaching to do it the right way.
Yeah, and you mentioned a little why you got into coaching. And I remember when you interviewed for this position, you talked about the similarities of Brookings, South Dakota and Pullman. And how have you found that? Have you found that to be the case being here? How have you and your family and the families of the staff adjusted? Maybe talk a little bit about that for everyone.
Yeah, I think we've all adjusted. We all love living here. It is different in the sense of, we're in the rolling hills and there's a lot more scenery here. But the size of the town is very similar. Brookings is around a little over 23,000. This is, in the 30s, but when you connect both Moscow and Pullman together, it's over 50. So there's a little bit more population here. As far as like the values of people here on the eastern part of the state, it's just a blue collar working class that people are like genuine and down to earth people. That is very much the same. I enjoyed my experience in Brookings, had the time of my life, met my wife there, raised our kids there, had an unbelievable career and a run at a place that really helped develop me. John Stiglmeyer was kind of my mentor and my head coach there, the guy that gave me my first opportunity. And I was blessed to be there as long as I was because the people were great and the relationships and the overall experience was special to me. And this I felt was very similar, just on the next stage and an opportunity to try to accomplish something that is important to me, which is the constant challenge of trying to be at your best. And so we've had the opportunity to do that, and I'm excited about what we can continue to build as far as the future.
Well, here you are. We're 5 games into year one. I know year one is a great opportunity, but presents just some challenges too with this year and the nature of college football these days. There's a lot of turnover, so there's 75 new players. How would you describe to this point the challenges, the opportunities of blending in everyone, plus the staff coming in year one, and here we are. It's you blink and getting ready for the 6th game of the season before we know it.
Yeah, I can go on and on just about like how fast this has been. Just the simple part of just when we got here to when the transfer portal kind of closed in the December window to trying to create relationships and get our players to know a scheme all in the spring to kids leaving again in the spring to, acquiring more players in the spring to getting them on the same page to then reintroducing everything scheme wise again somewhat in the summer, blending all of those personalities, allowing for competition to happen because everybody came here for a reason, creating competitive maturity, which is constantly teaching the importance of you have to be about the team. But, for us in competing, you got to compete. It's got to initially be about you winning a job, but it can't be a selfish reason. It can't be due to your ego. All of those things, those conversations, they happen, and you got to be able to manage that. And you got to continue to gel a team and see how all the moving pieces work best together. Overall, two systems coming together. I didn't have some of the resources here that I didn't have any resources in the past that we do have here. So just like the organization of that. And then although it's a positive, how do you keep people accountable? Because if we're going to say things are important, there's got to be a system in place of accountability, and there's got to be steps inside of that. And so to say I'm still not working through things, I am. Just because there are so many different people that you connect with. So it is far from a final product. And I think when you want to do things the right way, regardless if you have success or not, there's always, a follow-up to say, how could we have done that better? And how could we have been on the same page? It's not just saying, well, it worked, let's do the same thing again. I've never been that way. And so that's football. That's the organization, that is the system and the process itself, to strength and conditioning, to nutrition, to athletic training. There's so many dynamics that come into this. And so I think for the most part, we've done a good job of buying in and believing, but it is a lot of new people on one page in a really short time.
Well, let's say a position gets created tomorrow, college football czar. And I know if you had this job 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, it'd be a lot different than the job you face now. There's been a lot of changes at warp speed. So with the challenges that a head football coach at a program like WSU faces, and like any program across the country, if you are the college football czar for a day, what are you doing? What are your decisions that you're making?
Well, I am no czar, so I kind of just live in the rules that are given to me and try to adapt the best I can. I would just say more than anything that when whoever makes the rules and the decision is made, that they think about what is the next step that's going to happen, then the next step, then the next step, and how people and coaches are going to use this, and universities will use whatever rule that's put to the extreme in the nth degree of competition. And so we have to make sure that we're well aware that when you change something, it changes so many other things. And then who does that impact and how much does that cost? I do believe the players should be compensated to the point to where, there is competitiveness still in this. There's still the education part to this. There's still taking care of the university part to this, to the coaches, to really collectively everybody. And I think there could be a better balance. Those rules, that's not my decision. I know there's flaws in everything. There always will be. But if we can close the gap on kind of what is being allowed at some of the Power 4 schools to what is, Group of 6 conference to FCS, I think after a while, you're going to see a product somewhat diminish in high school if you don't change the transfer portal rules, as well as just the NIL rules. Years ago, and I have to say this, years ago, if you were to transfer down, you could play. And I believe if you were to transfer lateral, you might have had to sit out the initial part, that first season. If you were to transfer up, you had to sit out a season. Then I believe at some point when you transferred laterally, you could then play. Yeah, I think it was about you couldn't be in conference play when you transfer over. I'm not 100% sure on that. But if you were to transfer up again, you had to sit out. And then it turned into everybody can transfer. And there was no rules on sitting out. Then there was, you can transfer as many times as possible and there'd be no rules. Now it's, you can accept money, transfer, accept money. Well, that doesn't happen in any world or any organization ever. It doesn't happen in the NFL. And so it's kind of unique. We are getting to a professional model without professional rules because education is still a part of it. And if there could be a stemming of one way or another, I just think that it has to make sense from a university standard. That is the foundational piece, is that it's a university-based, this isn't college, this isn't professional sports, but we need to make sure that we have the rules that, make things make sense. And I feel like every coach feels this way. It's just, we're living in unique times and we don't make the decisions. So you have to adapt and you have to be competitive. And regardless if you truly believe in your heart of something, if you're going to do this, you have to be competitive. And we got to play by the rules to the nth degree with everybody else. And so, yeah, I think there's we need help in NIL. We need help in a lot of things, but it can't slow our mindset down on, well, we're not this or that, so let's not try. I think the goal is to believing that you can do something special, getting as many people involved as possible and going at it. We have 250,000 living alums. There's no reason why this place can't be the mecca of a lot of things that happen in college football.
If I could jump in, I think what you just said is so important for people to understand, is that a lot of people feel, I don't have $1 million to give, or I don't live in the area to be able to come to the games, or whatever it might be. There are so many ways that people can help support Washington State University and specifically Washington State football, I think, to really help. The power of our brand going forward, remaining strong and relevant, is extremely important. And I think one of the things, you often talk about, Coach Rogers, is, the game day experience and fans and how it all helps in recruiting. And, people could understand maybe, or they should understand, how a football program is a process, when you have a coaching transition and when you're adapting to all of the rules. But that's how you're wired. Like, you are wired to have that process for the long-term results. And I think what people need to understand is a lot of other things. And we talked about this the other day, like some of the game day stuff. It's a process, getting alcohol in the stadium and now capitalizing on, no reentry and having fans stay. Like, that's a process. But the important thing is that we're continuing to move forward and not accept, well, that was pretty good. Like, oh, that was nice. It's, you're certainly not going, oh, that Colorado State game was good. Okay, we're going to do exactly the same thing. Like, you're going to look at, and analyze every detail. And I think for fans and for us as a department, but also as a university, to really understand, we all play a part in that, to be honest. And it's important. It's important for people to do whatever they can to help be part of that process. Okay, so what's the best part of your job? You have a lot of long, hard days and a lot of heavy things you have to deal with. But what's the best part of your job?
I would say practices and being around the players. I enjoy that maybe more than anything else. Just the relationships that get built in football and getting to know the players at a deeper level to understand why they are the way they are, or how we can help them become better. Those things will always probably be the most important part of my job, and just the things that I enjoy doing the most more than anything else. There's a lot of organization. There's a lot of not football to a lot of these things. So to do the things that make the job enjoyable, which is for me, be really around the players and connect with them personally. I think that's my joy more than anything else.
Okay, and you can freeze time. There's not a single football thing or WSU related thing you need to work on or do. Okay,
I'm going to spend it with my family, if that's your.
Yep.
Yeah, my kids suffer a little bit from dad, and so does my wife. So if I could spend any time with anybody, it would be them, and probably doing absolutely nothing, just sitting. I don't need to go on vacation. I just would love to see them more than what I probably get to see them now.
Awesome.
Coach, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much. This interaction right here, this has been among the highlights, and this is only episode number 3 of the podcast. But so fun to hear from both of you, your interactions, and I know Coug fans really enjoy that too. Thank you to both of you. Thank you to our other guests as well. Nancy Swanger, faculty athletic rep, stopping by here on the Inside WSU Athletics podcast. That will do it for this episode. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, go Cougs.
Go Cougs.